Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Yeah, I'm Damien, big Browns fan for years, diehard. I really feel as though like it's a lot of talent on the team, but Joe Woods got to go. And I want to know who qualifies for that job. If it ain't Zimmer, I don't want to see nobody else. I want to see an older guy, experienced, old school, smash nose. Football on the defense side. Offense is perfectly fine. I think the defense needs work next year's Super Bowl.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. So let's assume that they move on from Joe Woods after the end of the season. Zimmer just signed on to be like the defensive coordinator with Colorado and Deion Sanders. That doesn't mean he couldn't take a job with the Browns. Qualities, what would you look for? I want them to get a guy like a Bill Callahan on the defensive side of the ball. Guy that's been a head coach, has been around. Somebody that can be a resource in-game, game planning for Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I would agree with you. I had never gone that far. I just thought of, you want a proven guy, right? Somebody that comes in and has a lot of credibility, just with himself and with the coaches, but also with the players, right? They look in and say, hey, this guy's got a big-time resume. We can trust him. We're going to buy in immediately. That stands out to me because Joe Woods had been a coordinator once before with mixed results with the Broncos. So if you brought in a guy that's done it before, I just think that probably goes a long way. But yeah, your point's well taken. Another veteran or another veteran guy with head coaching experience that Kevin Stefanski can lean on a little bit. I think that's a good idea as well.
Let me ask you this: Do you think they go out and find somebody who that just the system is different? It seems to me like this defense is very passive. It doesn't get after it. Is that by design?
I think it is. I think it is by design. You know, I've never gotten the sense that Kevin Stefanski wants to run a defense that just all-out pressures all the time. It just doesn't. To me, it doesn't feel like his style. You know, I think he wants to run the ball and control the clock and, you know, play a little bend but don't break on defense. Now, maybe he's going to change it. Maybe if you think, hey, you got Deshaun Watson, you're going to score a bunch of points, you know, let the defense create plays early, and then maybe you get conservative as the game goes on. That'll be interesting. Like, I certainly don't want to see a big shift from 4-3 to 3-4 because I just don't think you're built for that, especially with Myles Garrett. You know, Myles Garrett is the prototypical 4-3 edge rusher, and I don't think you want to mess with that. So I think you got to keep the 4-3 now. You know, do you go more Tampa 2? Do you go more, you know, zone blitzes? Do you just say, hey, we're going to play press man because we trust Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson Jr. and Greg Newsome? I guess you could say that. But it would certainly be a philosophical shift from what I believe Stefanski put in place a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, light linebackers, light defensive tackles, they were almost asking teams to run on them, and I think they found out this year, if you ask teams to run on it, they're going to say, okay, sure, we'll run on you.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you watch that Ravens game, you know, Watson's first home game, and they gave up almost 200 yards. But they gave up 3 points because they made a bunch of plays in the red zone, right? They get a fourth down stop. Denzel Ward has an interception. John Johnson not in the red zone, but he's got a forces a fumble and recovers it. Like, you can win that way, but it feels like it's harder to win that way. And the Browns weren't doing that early in the year, right? They weren't creating any takeaways. So, you know, I think their formula wound up not being the correct one. And I think linebackers probably fine, you know, because they had so many injuries, right? Anthony Walker Jr., I think, can play at this level. JOK, I think Sione Takitaki proved he can. Now, he's a free agent. He's coming off the ACL. All these guys are coming off injuries. But so that's why I go back to the D tackles saying, especially if you're going to have the fast, quick linebackers, you better have some guys in front of them. And the Browns just don't have that.
Yeah, you need guys, and they don't have to be all pros. They have to be guys that are going to absorb double teams and let the fast linebackers run. Do what the linebackers, that's all you need.